to celebrate one of Virginia's preeminent leaders, and in my belief, in my hope, in my dreams, and my prayers, the next governor of Virginia. First, I'd like to start. Give her a hand, yeah. First, I just want to say thank you to C'est La Vin for opening their establishment here. I was telling Julianne, who works in my office, that another good friend, Delegate Lamont Bagby, always has his birthday parties here, and it's a great event space. It's a great space to come and have a good glass of wine. So if you get the opportunity, please come and patronize them. As delegate, and even long before that, I've seen the resilience of Richmond and its businesses in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. The COVID pandemic over the last 12 months has certainly tested the resilience of our great city, but I'm here to tell you, and I know many of you here know, that we have passed with flying colors. We are still working our way out, but we have been resilient and have been strong and steadfast in our determination to not let the pandemic get the best of Richmond. We are home to some of the finest local businesses, especially the restaurants. You're in the midst of one of the most bustling places in our city. We've got a great pedestrian walkway now here. And so as we continue to get back to normal, please get out and patronize our local businesses. We're also home to booming industries, technology, finance, medicine, the list goes on and on. Richmond is truly a great place to live, work, and play. But as we know, many of us here today know that for far too many of our neighbors, the great things that Richmond has to offer, the great things that Virginia has to offer, haven't been available to each and every one of our citizens in each and every corner of this Commonwealth. And I know that with the election of Jen McClellan in June and then again in November, we are going to put ourselves on the path to making sure that each and every person, each and every corner of this Commonwealth has the opportunity to prosperity and all that Virginia has to offer. And unfortunately, we talked about the pandemic earlier, and it's only worsened and deepened the divide and inequities in our Commonwealth. Everything from educational inequities to healthcare inequities to housing and eviction inequities to economic inequities. But we know that they're not COVID problems. They were here before COVID, and they're going to be here long after COVID, except for when we hear about the great economic recovery plan that Jen is going to usher in once she is elected. I just want to take a few moments to talk about why I believe Jen McClellan, the next governor of Virginia, is the right choice and the only choice for Virginia. And I say that knowing that both Jen and I have friends who are also running in this race. But when you look at the record and not just the rhetoric, you understand that Jen is the only choice to lead Virginia in this time. We need a leader, we need a governor who has fresh ideas, is a new voice to, unfortunately, some old problems that still persist today. And so when we talk about Jen's track record, let's talk about things like the Clean Economy Act, which brought thousands of jobs to the Commonwealth and puts us on a path to having a more renewable, brighter environment. She's passed legislation to help what I believe is a really great industry. Selfishly, it's the craft brewing industry, which we see all around the city, all around the state. But more importantly, she's protected our most vulnerable. She has been a champion for expanding workers' rights, to secure paid leave, passing a domestic workers' bill of rights, and fighting to raise the minimum wage, which was long overdue. As governor, Jen is going to set an agenda to address the vulnerabilities COVID has exposed and make sure that Virginia is number one for workers and for businesses, because you can do both at the same time. She's going to increase access to capital for small women and minority-owned businesses. She's going to expand our paid sick leave and family leave, raising wages, and instituting protection for gig workers. As we've all seen throughout Jen's career, she works tirelessly for a better Virginia. And as governor, I know she will do no less. Now is not the time to retreat, but it is the time to forge ahead. And again, that's one of the many, many reasons that I support Jen McClellan for governor is that she is never in a posture of shrinking from a fight, nor is she willing to not make the tough calls, because at the end of the day, the decisions she makes always put Virginia in a better place. So thank you for your indulgence. Now it is my pleasure to bring to the podium my good friend Marcus Jones.
Wow, it's so awesome to be here today. I know my wife saw me getting ready this morning, and she said, "You must love Jennifer McClellan." And I was thinking in my mind, well, of course, that's not even a question. I do. But I didn't say anything. I was a husband. I said, well, why do you say that? She said, well, because there's basketball on all day, and you didn't even take a shower yesterday. So I know you love Jennifer McClellan. So I definitely do. I am so happy to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marcus Jones. I'm a small business owner. I own Comfort Care Home Care out in Henrico County. I've been doing that for 4 years. And as a small business owner, I know that Jennifer McClellan understands how important it is for small businesses. Other than being a small business owner, I've been a disability advocate for years, and I'm also chair of Henrico County Democrats. So I too have a lot of friends running in a lot of races, but this was the choice for me when it comes for governor of Virginia. For the last 15 years, Jen has been serving in the General Assembly. She's legislated with small businesses in mind, and I know as governor, she'll make sure that small businesses get the support they need to not only survive, but thrive. Because for too long, small businesses have been left behind. People look at business owners a lot of times like all of us are rich. But I can't tell you how many times either myself or small business owners I know will not pay themselves for a month, sometimes 2 months, so they can pay their employees. And that's why the programs and the ideas that Jim McClellan has for putting small businesses first are what we really need in the Commonwealth. Even with COVID-19 in particular, it had a really negative effect on small businesses, especially small businesses owned by women and minorities. 27% of Virginia's small businesses closed since the beginning of the pandemic. My business itself, if it wasn't for some timely funding from the COVID relief that they did last year, was probably a month or two away from shutting its doors. And as a minority business owner who's had a lifelong dream of owning his own business, that was really hard to swallow. Black-owned business are especially struggling, with over 41% of black-owned businesses have shut their doors within the last year. In the home care business, a majority of the mom and pop home care businesses are actually owned by minority women. Women of color is the biggest owner of mom and pop small businesses. As governor, Jen will build a Virginia that is #1 for small businesses, especially small businesses owned by women and minorities. As governor, Jen will ensure that a portion of a program she's rolling out called the Virginia Community Development Financial Institutions Fund enables Virginia community financial institutions to allocate funds that support and stabilize and grow small businesses. She'll also promote transparency and accountability with the Commonwealth's Development Opportunity Fund in order to ensure Virginia small businesses have access to the capital they need. And as a small business owner, I cannot tell you how important easy access, quick access to capital can be when you get that new business in and you need to buy that new piece of equipment or spend $10,000 to $15,000 on PPE during a pandemic. Access to capital is always the #1 thing that you're looking for. As governor, Jen McClellan is going to rebuild our economic system so that no Virginian is left behind. I'm so excited to support Jen for governor. She has been a mentor to me since I moved to Henrico and got started volunteering on different campaigns, and I am so excited for her. So that's why I'm supporting Jim McClellan for governor this year. Be sure to get out and vote in June. So next, I am going to introduce Ingrid, or nope, Estelle. Elena, I'm sorry.
Good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Elena Camacho. I am a lead community organizer for New Virginia Majority. I'm working with the Latin community who has been really affected also because COVID-19. I'm working right now with the rent relief program, helping all my community to get access to that, and also the campaign to stop evictions. And for me, it's a pleasure to have a governor who thinks about the Latin community and the progress of my community. And it's a pleasure for me to introduce to Ingrid Vaca, who is a domestic worker. And welcome to Ingrid.
Good afternoon. My name is Ingrid Vaca. It's an honor for me to be here today and represent all my worker sisters. I am from the beautiful city of La Paz in Bolivia, and I am very proud domestic worker. I have been working for 20 years, cleaning houses, caring for children, and caring for the elderly. Very dignified work that has allowed me to support and carry forward my small family, made up of my 2 children who are dreamers and I. I am here today because Jen McClellan understands how important workers are to our Commonwealth. She's been our advocate in the General Assembly for over 15 years, and as a governor, she built an economy that leaves no one behind. For too long, politicians have left domestic workers like me and the women in Jen's family behind. Racist laws from the Jim Crow are exclude domestic workers from the same workplace protections that other workers receive. Until last year, domestic workers were even excluded from being able to receive the minimum wage. It was Jen McClellan who passed a law for us to finally start earning a livable salary. We are 1 year in the pandemic, and domestic workers have suffered greatly during this time. Domestic workers receive relief. Many of us lost our jobs and wages, did not receive personal protection to stay safe at work, and put ourselves as well as our families at risk in order to work. For immigrant women like me, like myself, that exclusions can be twofold, where our families are often excluded from much needed economic relief efforts because of their immigration status of the nature of our work arrangements. During this pandemic, we suffered a loss since as essential employers. We have to fight not only with viruses, but also with the fact of being people with an undefined status. The dismissed and running out of the resources we receive with the money we earn, the abuse of sexual harassment, poorly paid vacations without pay, not having a decent retirement with which to support ourselves after our strength no longer help us to have an old age with dignity. But also, as we go through so many things, we show that we are a necessary workforce that takes care of their children, clean their houses, and adopt their elderly as if they were our families. Today, many of us have still not returned to work due to the fact that our clients are very afraid to the virus that is still here. More than 90% of Spanish-speaking domestic workers lose their jobs, and 75% of domestic workers did not receive compensation when their jobs were canceled. Women are losing their jobs, and living in record numbers primarily due to caregiving needs of their families. The pandemic has highlighted that we care workers knew all along. Care workers are essentials to the economy and our economy recovery. Caregiving jobs are the fastest growing workforce in the nation, yet we are underpaid and undervalued. While other politicians are talking about the protections, James McClellan is delivering protections for us. This year, she passed the first domestic workers' bills of rights in the South to expand protections so that we have the same rights to a safe and healthy workplace as every other workers. Bravo for that. And as a governor, Jen will continue to build a Virginia that is a number one for workers and for business. I know Jen will fight to make sure paid sick leave paid, family leave, and paid medical leave is accessible for everyone. She's prioritizing the needs of family and removing barriers for women entering and staying in the workforce by making universal childcare a reality. Jen knows that women like me strengthen our economy and will invest in making care jobs, good jobs to get people back to work. Our rights as human beings are being violated, and we need someone that can support who we also are, a force that build this country by paying our taxes, supporting families with the hard work we do, but we do it with all the love in the world because we show that it's not only a job, but a sign that we adopt as a family, all those children and the elderly that we take care and clean their houses as if they were ours. When Jen is governor, she's going to make sure that losing employment will not end a person's livelihood and ability to survive. She will extend and modernize unemployment benefits. Jim McClellan is going to raise the minimum wage to $15 so that Virginians won't have to work 2 to 3 jobs to able to keep the lights on to feed their families. She has a track record of advancing racial, gender, and economy equity. As a governor, I know that James McClellan is going to rebuild our economy system so that no Virginian is left behind. That is why I am so proud to support James to become the first woman and first black woman to lead our Commonwealth. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our Governor, Senator Jennifer McClean, who give back our dignity too. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today. Thank you to Celaven for hosting us this afternoon. Hopefully after this event, you all will enjoy brunch at either here or one of our excellent restaurants downtown. Thank you to Delegate Bourne and Marcus Jones, Ingrid Vanka, and Karen Action for emphasizing how to rebuild our economy equitably with workers and small businesses in mind in a way that leaves no Virginian behind and begins to address problems that existed before COVID that have been made worse. I come from a family of educators domestic workers, laborers, small business owners. One grandfather was a carpenter. The other was an educator and a lawyer. My mother, my aunts, my grandmother, my great-grandmother were all domestic workers or home health care providers or child care providers. They worked hard under the tyranny of Jim Crow to put food on the table every day. For generations, the economy left them behind, denying many of them the basic protections that other workers gained and left them struggling to earn enough to care for our family. We have come a long way since then, but even today, the legacy of racism, paternalism, and sexism continue to stain our economic system. And the COVID-19 pandemic has amplified the existing vulnerabilities and inequities in our economy and workplaces across Virginia. This pandemic has hurt every community in Virginia, but some have faced disproportionate impact. Women, small businesses, immigrant communities, Black communities, Indigenous communities, essential workers. Our Black and brown workers and small business owners have faced these hardships the most, with 47% of Black-owned businesses, 32% of Latino-owned businesses, and 26% of Asian American and Pacific Islander-owned businesses. 25% of women-owned businesses have closed across the country in just 1 year. And women are leaving the workforce at rates unseen in decades. And small businesses, which before COVID had less cash flow, have faced unique problems. That's led many of them to close their doors forever. Previous administrations focused Virginia's resources on recruiting big businesses to come here and bring new jobs. But they didn't invest enough in small, women, and minority-owned businesses right here in Virginia to help them stabilize and grow. And also had not spent time helping them to manage transitions as changes in technology and business models impact their business. As we rebuild from COVID, we cannot rebuild the economy of the past. That is why today I am releasing my economic recovery plan to build the economy of the future. This plan is designed to grow jobs and strengthen workers in every community in Virginia, but especially to support those who face unique challenges as a result of COVID to problems they were facing before. This plan is designed to work hand in hand with the Biden-Harris administration's Build Back Better plan to rebuild Virginia along with our federal government. It will expand lending to small businesses, including SWAM businesses like Say Levin. It will create a new COVID long-term effects small business loan and expand the Virginia Community Development Financial Institutions Fund by $2.5 million per year. Under my administration, economic development plans will prioritize stabilizing and growing Virginia's SWAM businesses. And any incentives to businesses moving to Virginia must pass a litmus test of what is good for our communities, focusing funds on job creation and community investment with transparency and accountability for those goals. We will make Virginia the best state for workers and business by passing paid family medical leave, paid sick leave, moving to $15 minimum wage as fast as possible, removing barriers for collective bargaining, including for public employees, and allowing the 500,000 gig workers access to unemployment benefits and other benefits they've been denied access to. We will turn around the trend of women and parents leaving the workforce by addressing Virginia's child care crisis by implementing my universal affordable child care plan released in January. And frankly, my K-12 plan is also critical to economic development because one way we become the first state for business and workers is by recognizing that our education system, from birth to career, is the foundation for any economic development plan or worker protection plan. We will invest in growing sectors of our economy like agriculture and healthcare and the clean economy and technology. We will make Virginia a national hub for clean energy and clean transportation jobs, building on the progress of the Solar Freedom Act, the Virginia Clean Economy Act, which is estimated to create an additional 13,000 jobs annually in Virginia. In my 16 sessions in the General Assembly, I have worked to grow small businesses, creating benefit corporations to make Virginia a hub of social entrepreneurship. I've removed red tape for local craft breweries to enable them to create jobs. I've fought to extend worker protections through measures such as the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights, the Pregnant Worker Fairness Act, the Virginia Values Act, raising the minimum wage, expanding unemployment insurance, establishing paid family and medical leave. And I noticed on my way here, when you leave, you'll notice USERV. I also helped them recognize their business model by changing our laws to allow them to exist. My administration will continue that work by expanding worker protections and rights so that our workers are holistically supported and protected. We will rebuild Virginia in a way that leaves no one behind, that will make Virginia number one for both business and workers, because it's a symbiotic relationship. Workers need strong businesses to give jobs that pay living wages, more than living wages. And businesses need thriving, healthy, happy workers. And they won't get them if they are building their business on their workers' backs and not helping them balance their work-life needs. Too many of our workers have to choose between putting food on the table and caring for a sick loved one, between paying their electric bills or caring for their children. That has to stop. You will find my full plan on my website at jennifermcclellan.com as soon as this event is over. We will rebuild equitably, but we must rebuild together. We will do it in a way that recognizes the connectedness of all of us. We will do it in a way that recognizes that issues are not segmented. Education, access to healthcare, a clean environment are all important for protecting workers and growing businesses. We cannot move forward and rebuild Virginia if we don't take a holistic approach that uplifts all communities, all Virginians, all neighborhoods, all sectors of our economy. And that is the kind of governor I will be. I will be the kind of governor that does not just create a seat at the table for people and perspectives that have not been included. I will take the table, the policymaking table, out into our communities and talk to people every day about how trends, whether it's COVID, changes in technology, are impacting them every day. I will listen and I will respond. And they will be a part of any policy, because at its core, government's job is to help people. Government's job is to solve problems. Government's job is to improve our economy, but also improve our communities. And I will be a governor that will make sure no Virginian is left behind as we rebuild our economy, our healthcare and economic safety nets, and our education system. So I ask you to join this movement, because this is not a moment about me. This is a movement about them and you. This is a movement about the future Virginia we will build together after COVID. It will be stronger. It will be more united. It will be more equitable. So join this movement by going to jennifermcclellan.com. Early voting starts April 24th. And thank you all for coming today.